This week on Premier Quest, the hosts talk product development.
And here's your first behind-the-scenes tip, and that's if you're not selling out of what you've got, consume it all yourself.
They go a little off the rails at some point.
Into an endless cycle of not being able to purchase products and not being able to leave. So we've got them right where we want them.
So sit back and enjoy another episode of Premier Quest Podcast.
Sweet baby child listeners of Premier Quest Podcast, this is your co-host Luke, and I'm joined today by an unexpected guest, and that guest is an uncaffeinated Richard. Richard, you've just mentioned you're having an uncaffeinated coffee. What's happening there?
It's Sunday, the 14th of April 2019, and I rolled out of bed at 5 o'clock this morning for my first cup of Premier Quest Java.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so electrifying that I had a second cup, and now roll on a few hours later, and I'm already buzzing, so I can't quite justify another Premier Quest Java, because it's the ultimate coffee to get you energized for the day ahead. Unfortunately, we've actually sold out of that merchandise at the moment. We have run out of coffee, but it'll be back in stock soon.
Yeah, and welcome listeners who may have only just joined us in the last few episodes. Who had a decent spike in downloads recently, which has been fantastic for both motivation and ego. So if you're new or newish, Premier Quest is a largely satirical life advice based podcast from New Zealand. And boy, oh boy, it's pretty cold today. Are you feeling the ice?
I'm shivering in my little booties. Here in Auckland, New Zealand, it is pretty cold. Not quite, it's probably single digits, I'd say.
Yeah, it's bloody interesting stuff here from Premier Quest Podcast. And today, we're approaching the 100 episode mark. We're spiking in downloads, and we're thinking, we've had a big journey. We've launched the coffee, we've launched the hot sauce, we've launched a shampoo brand, which of course is Kaiju Blue Mega Shampoo. So it's probably fair to say we're pretty successful at product merchandise launching, and it's an area that a lot of podcasters themselves are very interested in. And also, people who just want to start their own brand. So we thought today, let's dust off some of those notes we've taken over the last 2 years and give some advice back to you guys.
Yeah, so I think the one thing I'd add there is we don't want to go down the traditional merchandising route of t-shirts and whatnot. We're looking for more unique products that better reflect our content and who we are as individuals.
Exactly.
So as Luke says earlier, we've got a shampoo brand, we've got a coffee brand, and we've got a hot sauce brand, the ultimate eel sauce. And we've actually sold out of all of those items already, which means that we've identified what our listeners want and sort of provided it to them at premier pricing.
And here's your first behind-the-scenes tip, and that's if you're not selling out of what you've got, consume it all yourself.
You're not supposed to give away that secret.
At least, of course, Richard, you've been in good faith buying our own stock and drinking it. It sounds like you're up at 5:30 this morning devouring the profits of the podcast.
Yeah, I did kind of let that slip that I'm consuming my way through our own merchandise. But that's a good sign, because if I'm using this in day-to-day sort of life, it means that other people probably are too.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't worry, listeners. After today's episode, we will have a large selection of new merchandise available, and that'll hopefully come out of the next 20 or 30 minutes, where we're gonna sort of dive into how to make money out of podcasting, focusing primarily on how to design a successful promotional product strategy for whatever sort of bizarre content you're putting out there.
Yeah, exactly. Richard, if you were going to devise a way to make money on a scale of 1 to 10, how efficient in terms of time spent, money earned is podcasting to make money?
To be honest with you, Luke, you may disagree with me, but I think it's incredibly worthwhile. The hundreds of hours we've put into this has been worth it, seeing the returns that we've been getting on our products available.
God, I worry that we've actually spent thousands of hours now at this point.
Are you saying that our time could have been better spent doing something else?
No, certainly not. Okay, I'm ready to hear it. Sorry, I've kept interrupting you, and that's not in the spirit of Premier Quest.
So I'm not really sure how we're going to go about this, but we're just going to sort of do a bit of brainstorming today and hopefully come up with some products, and at the end of it, we will be rolling in the dough. So part 1 is understanding your target market. So Luke, who is our target audience for this podcast?
Lord No. The first 4 seasons, it was arguably people who are interested in Pacific Rim, but then the satirical, weird approach we took to that meant that it probably wasn't really. And then now I think most of those people have gone, leaving people who perhaps desperately need life advice but can't face themselves enough to watch, say, a Tony Robbins video on YouTube and would rather watch people who make fun of that kind of thing and just never really move forward with getting actual life advice.
Spot on. So the more that you can identify your audience by factors like age, income, interests, gender, and other descriptions, the better suited you will be to understand the wants, tastes, and sensibilities of the group. For example, Luke, I know you love carrying everything you own around on your back.
Yeah.
So what if you decided to design and sell a new backpack for international travel? Your target market might be middle-income millennials who enjoy budget traveling.
I thought you were spitballing this, but you're clearly reading it. Yeah, Premier Quest has considered things like backpacks, but I think what I'd like to add at this early stage is, there are tens of thousands probably, if not more, podcasts out there, and every podcast, their first idea for a merch launch is either a beer cozy to cool your drinks, or a t-shirt, or a mouse pad. Now, if you really want to succeed in your merch thing, you got to offer something different than that, because people don't want that anymore. What they want is a unique coffee brand, a type of shampoo that actually makes you bald, or a hot sauce with the name of an eel, but with no eel in it. So you really want to create as bizarre of a product possible, and then work off that meme potential.
So why don't we develop a backpack? We can target middle-income millennials who enjoy budget traveling.
Yeah, so why don't we create a back sack? It's just a Hessian sack, but with really premium leather straps. So it's sort of, it's the kind of thing that is going to catch eyes in the airport, because people are like, is this guy got a bag of turnips, or is he fresh from the streets of Milan? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're getting too niche with this, so I'm going to bring it back one level to a sort of higher plane. So if we're targeting middle-income millennials who enjoy budget traveling, what we're suggesting is that while they're listening to Premier Quest on the go, we can subtly influence them to buy certain products. What products would we be able to sell for that avid traveller who's got disposable income?
Well, we're introducing the all-new Premier Quest Camelback. And the thing with the Premier Quest Camelback is that we have permanently infused Premier Quest coffee into the actual material itself. So the water you drink, and while it's not actually coffee, it tastes vaguely like coffee the entire time, which is perfect for millennials on the go. Chuck it in your bag. You can't afford an actual coffee because you've just had to pay for your own medical care in the United States. But what you can pay for is the Camelback and the idea of coffee. What do you think out of 10, Richard?
I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. I think the coffee-infused stuff adds a couple of complications. But if we go off the record for a second, now I'm genuinely going to take this part out.
Yes.
I'm just having a look at AliExpress at the moment.
Okay, good.
We could buy backpacks for about, $10 a piece, slap on a Premier Quest logo, and put on some Premier pricing there. Maybe $30 for a Premier Quest backpack.
Yeah, but we need we need logos printed. We need embroidered logos. I can look into that.
So we'll go back on the record. Man, that's a great idea, Luke.
Thank you so much. But you only gave it 6 out of 10, but you consider it great.
I'm a tough marker. Very tough marker.
Yeah, tough marker, but your scores don't reflect what you've necessarily written, and that's the kind of thing that's going to frustrate students.
And I think for anyone else looking to develop products, you don't need to invent something new. What we've done here is we've just looked online for some advice and essentially just taken their idea from their example of a backpack, and we're going to create our own Premier Quest backpack.
Yeah, so over the coming weeks, folks, you'll be able to buy Premier Quest backpack on the website. When you go on to click buy backpack, you'll have the option which is scatter coffee throughout backpack. And so what we will do...
Look, we're selling a genuine product here. If you buy the backpack, you'll be able to potentially buy the Premier package, which will come with some Premier Quest coffee sealed inside the backpack.
Yeah, but there's also the option of, so there's the backpack Premier version. There's also Luke's backpack version, which is where that bag of coffee is just put scattered throughout the backpack.
All right, we might stick that coffee in beans form just to make it a bit easier to clean up. Well, would you clean it up? For example, I know you're a big fan of Bon Jovi, and if Bon Jovi started selling backpacks with loose coffee...
No, sorry, I'm a big fan of Bonjela, the cream that you put on your teeth.
Luke, you're a big fan of cream. would you buy a creamy backpack
Yeah.
with coffee beans all throughout it?
That's an interesting idea, actually. What about a backpack where the straps are infused with Bonjela cream? So if you've got sore teeth on the go, you're a young millennial, can't afford dental work, you just pick up the strap of the backpack and you have a little chew on the go, and it numbs your mouth, which is perfect for your big presentation at university.
And that takes us ideally into the next part, where you need to understand your ideal customer's preferences. For example, your target backpack for the new travel backpack might favour living a free life and seeing new experiences over luxury or material things. You can use this information to focus on how your product fits into this lifestyle. So, what are our customers' preferences, Luke? We already know from past sales that they enjoy paying premier prices for Premier Quest products.
Well, do we know that they enjoy it, or do we know that they just do it?
I can only assume they enjoy it by looking at the recent popularity of those products and the fact that we're sold out.
So what we actually do know, perhaps, is that Premier Quest listeners who buy those products at premier prices, they perhaps like a little bit of stimulation, a little bit of excitement, because the coffee, of course, heavily caffeinated. It's 3 times the caffeine of normal coffee. Then you also had the hot sauce, which, of course, is very spicy. So these kind of consumers, they don't want their run-of-the-mill, boring stuff. They don't want that. They don't want normal coffee. They don't want normal sauce. So these people probably not wanting a normal backpack. But my question to you, Richard, is how can you make a backpack stimulating?
Well, what I've gone back onto AliExpress and I've Googled Premier Backpack. And so we can buy...
Don't reveal that we source anything from AliExpress.
Scrap that, because we'll be making all of our leather bags backsacks straight off the camel's back.
Backsack.
So I reckon, so you kind of caught onto something here, in that our listeners in particular like the finer things in life and willing to pay that premium price for those premium products. So we need whatever we release needs to be quality. And typically, whenever you buy band t-shirts or podcast t-shirts, they feel kind of cheap a lot of the times. So we sort of need to hold ourselves to a higher standard of quality of our products.
Yes. And how can something feel cheap if it was expensive? That's a rhetorical question. I'm saying we put those prices up.
Exactly.
So that people always feeling like they're getting premium product.
But sometimes, Luke, you need to match your target audience to the media channels you use. So...
Okay, so we're bigger on Instagram.
Do you want an example here to sort of clarify this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so your backpack might be best advertised on websites, as your target demographic millennials spend much of their time online. So because our podcast is available over the internet, I assume that our target audience, likes the internet. Is that one place you could sell your products?
Yeah, the internet certainly is a good option for us because, believe it or not, folks, we don't actually have a physical storefront yet. So we do have the 3 products, of course, the Kaiju Blue Mega Shampoo, the Premier Quest Ultimate Eel Hot Sauce, and the Premier Quest Coffee. But at the moment, yes, we haven't launched a physical store location, so the internet is going to be it for us, I think. And a lot of people, it sounds like, are actually getting this podcast on the internet.
Do you think our target audience, as well as loving the internet, do you think they like to do things as well?
What kind of things are we talking about here? Talking about going for a hike or going out for a nice coffee?
I'm talking about living life and problem solving.
I reckon that they bloody love that.
One of our recent friends has sort of got in contact with myself, and they've been asking me to move back to Christchurch, New Zealand. And their pitch is that I should buy this current escape room for sale. And it's got a very low sort of price. So I was thinking I could go back to Christchurch, buy this escape room, and as you work your way through, you have to solve all of the puzzles. And when you get to the end, you pop out into a Premier Quest merchandising store, giving us a physical location for our goods, where you can buy backpacks and hot sauce.
That sounds so good. Why don't we do this? We target companies who have a very high level of success in product development within Christchurch. Then we set up the escape room with all the current issues we're having with product development. So one room, they've got to work out the target audience to get into the next room. The next room, they've got to work out the ultimate product pricing, etc. Then by the end, they've effectively designed us a perfect product. They've had a really good time solving problems that they're familiar with. And then we can take that work, all the intellectual property involved in terms of the actual escape room process, and then we apply it to our business.
There's only one major drawback here, Luke, and it's the fact that our listeners live in multiple places. So the number of listeners concentrated in one city might not be as many as you'd think, and hence we might not get a diverse range of tastes and preferences from around the globe.
Yeah, good call.
So we need to bring this back to the online medium. So now that we've defined our target audience, we need to define our promotional goal. So you need to fit your promotional strategy into your overall marketing strategy.
I've just had a brainwave removed from that stunning fact you've revealed. What about an online escape room where you're on a website? Because a lot of people can't get out. Some people have disabilities that prevent them from leaving the house. Other people have severe anxiety, things like that. So if you go hop on your iPad and do something like an escape room, wouldn't that be fun?
Well, and at the end, you're led to our website where you can buy products.
Our online merch store.
Our physical online store.
And you can't escape that website. You literally can't leave the website without making a purchase.
Even though all the products are out of stock at the moment. So there we've done it. We've trapped our listeners.
You're forever trapped.
Into an endless cycle of not being able to purchase products and not being able to leave. So we've got them right where we want them. I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
No, it's just spitballing, and that's something that I wanted to note about creating, making money from a podcast, is that you need to get together with your other hosts and you need to just spitball ideas. It doesn't matter how stupid they are. It needs to be a green fields environment where, people like Richard and myself can just say an idea like an online escape room and not feel like you're going to be judged.
Man, we are completely nailing this next point. There's a lot of foreshadowing going on here. So we've been making customers aware of the product, which is backpacks and hot sauce and coffee, and we've been driving them to buy a product they're already aware of. Hence, we trick them through an escape room into our website that they can't leave without buying something.
Yeah.
Have we explained the features or functionality of our products enough, Luke? Like, do people know what coffee is for?
Yes and no. Before I get into it, what I'd like to say is that there's nothing worse than tuning into a podcast, you're enjoying it, and then all of a sudden, wham, you got a 6-minute ad about something that is completely not interesting to you. You got to hit that skip 30 seconds mark, but then all of a sudden you've missed a little bit. It's incredibly annoying. So what I'm going to say to folks is that don't obsessively promote your product. Like, for instance, certainly don't do an entire episode about the creation of merchandise just to try and further sell merchandise. Something like that's going to turn people off.
But the next point is we need to draw back our previous customers. So for anyone out there who has bought our Premier coffee or hot sauce, I haven't run this by Luke, but if you respond to the original order email, we will send you a code for $5 off your next purchase of Premier Quest products.
So generous, considering we're so out of stock.
Yeah, there's not going to be much margin on a lot of those products with this, but I've said it now. No, I'll take that back because, we can do whatever we want here.
Yep.
If you email us back, you will get a promotional code for $5 off the Premier Quest backpack when it becomes available. How about that? No. Actually, let's scrap that. If you use this promotional code, you'll get a free bag of Premier Quest hot sauce with your purchase of 2 or more backpacks.
We don't have that.
A backpack full of hot sauce.
What's a bag of hot sauce? God, this hot sauce is very expensive to make. It has apricot nectar in it.
Only the finest ingredients. The premier things in life.
Listen, I'd like to strike Richard's idea. What we'll do is we will sign in permanent vivid our names and also Squire Heath's. He's also going to sign it on the back of the backpack.
No. You've kind of missed what our target market is here, and we ran over this in a lot of detail. That our target market likes paying premier prices for premier products. So all of our returning customers will be charged 20% more than standard price. just emphasize their love of premier prices.
That is a hell of a business move. What I'd like to get into is, companies like Gucci is a good example. They have the premium products, the premium qualities, and they've certainly got the premium prices. But when you look at it now, it sort of seems like they're taking the piss with a lot of their stuff. Is that something that maybe we should look at doing, is taking the piss a bit more?
Luke, we're a satirical life advice podcast that sells coffee and hot sauce.
So we need to, yeah, all right, I agree. We keep serious. And this just in, folks, we've received a life advice question whilst recording. And I'm going to get straight into it because it's interestingly quite a lot like a product development question, Richard. Here it is. This comes in from Shmatthew. Shmatthew says, I would really like to have the sharpest knives possible in my kitchen, but I hate using the knife steel. How can you help? So by knife steel, I assume he means that long rod thing, and perhaps he doesn't like using it because it might cut his hand, or he doesn't like the sound. Who knows? But could we create a product that would sharpen knives, Richard, in a different way? Like, for instance, maybe if we had included some sort of whetstone attached to the back sack. Matthew wouldn't have to do it. He could just gently rub the back sack over the knives and it wouldn't feel as if he was sharpening it.
I've just reached out to our development team and they've just informed me that they do have a Premier Quest mini ceramic rod knife sharpener in production at the moment, to be released on our store soon.
Well, that's perfect. One thing that I'd like to suggest is that I have an object in my house that I like to call the Jade Puma. I believe it's either made of marble or something else. It's not actually jade, but it's a beautiful ornament. It's about 30 centimeters long. It's quite heavy. I would like to put that up for sale on the Premier Quest website, because what happens is if I'm feeling anxious or I'm doing something I don't like doing, I'll move the Jade Puma in front of me and I'll just maintain eye contact with it while I do the thing, which is quite dangerous sharpening a knife, sure, but you should try it. So Shmatthew, you can come onto our website and buy the Jade Puma. It's $50, which is quite expensive, but it's probably going to be worth it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Luke, so I was trying to have a look on the internet. And all that's coming up is green pictures of pumas.
Yeah, so this Jade Puma, not actually green, more red. But listen, that's my life advice there, is that Shmatthew, come on board, buy the Puma, and you should probably be fine for sharpening of things. Or buy one of the ceramic sharpening rods.
Look, I'm a bit concerned here. How did you get your hands on this sort of exotic jungle cat, the green Puma?
I purchased this as a teenager.
I don't know if you can sell a Pumas on our website.
You told me when we upgraded Squarespace Marketspace, we could sell anything on there.
Jungle cats. You're suggesting we start selling premier jungle cats on our website?
It's a jungle cat replica. This is not an actual jungle cat. It's a replica jungle cat.
All right, so if you head along to premierquest.com, you will see the jungle cats available for sale on our website. Stocks are extremely limited.
Yeah, and full disclosure, the Jade Puma has been dropped and broken before, and I glued it back together. So it's not exactly like you're getting a perfect condition Jade Puma, but you're getting one that's been loved, and I think it's going to help people who will need help.
So now that you've got your premier products ready, it's time to get the word out. First, you need to assess your promotional budget. What is our promotional budget, Luke?
Yeah, podcasts often don't have massive promotional budgets, but what they do have, Richard, is Instagram and Reddit. So what I'd say is create a viral video, spend $5-6 creating a really highly produced viral video, and then upload it and just see how you go from there. You want to be spending minimum $6 US, because you got to spend money to make money.
So once you've defined your promotional budget, you have to think about the timing of your promotion. And so, for example, many people take longer vacations in the summer months. Your travel backpack should be executed in the months or weeks leading up to summer. Now, Luke, it's coming into winter in New Zealand. Is this the perfect time to start selling backpacks?
Well, the thing is, the Premier Quest back sack is perfect for either summer or winter. In summer, it's great at the beach. The Hessian material. Is it made of Hessian? Anyway, the material's perfect for the beach, but it's also perfect for those snowy days.
Bang on the money, Luke. I couldn't agree more. Now that we've defined our promotional budget and the timing of our promotion, which is now, we need to start purchasing some targeted advertising.
Yeah, we have in the past done that once. The money went out of the Premier Quest bank account very quickly and we didn't see fantastic results.
What if we considered giving out some samples? Like, for example, we could lease the Jade Puma to people to sharpen their knives, and then they can return the jungle cat to you after their knives are all sharpened.
Or you can, folks, here's an interesting thing. You can actually go along to premierquest.com now and buy signed photographs of the Jade Puma. Now, they're only signed by me, actually, and Richard, I forged his signature. But those are much cheaper than the Jade Puma. So, in effect, it's a bit of a sample. So, head along. They're quite cheap, and they're a hell of a lot of fun.
A lot of fun indeed. But you've got to remember, Luke, you've got to incorporate public relations into all of this. Is this something that we've been able to do successfully in the past?
What does public relations mean?
For example, as we're trying to sell these Premier Quest backpacks, we could contact magazines that are related to travelling and explain our product. If it is interesting enough, it might lead to an interesting article describing our product.
We should try get into the Air New Zealand magazine because, people that travel.
We're going to contact New Zealand's national plane carrier, and they're going to flick through this magazine, and they're going to see this giant ad for this renting a jade puma to sharpen their knives.
Actually, we're only going to advertise the signed photographs of the jade puma. Because what that does is get people interested. And then once we've got people interested, they're hooked.
Incredible stuff here.
So there's an advice to young podcasters out there who are wanting to make money. One fantastic way to make money is to take photos of the products you intend to sell, sign them, and sell those themselves. That way you can maintain a high level of stock while selling something that's quite low for you to produce, but is cherished by your listeners because it's personalized.
So now that we've done all this, it's time for us to focus our marketing efforts. And this is the last step of the process. So we've defined our audience, we know who they are, what they want. We've got a new range of products soon going to be available at premierquest.com. I can inform you that when this website goes live, the Jade Puma will be available on the website.
Yes.
And then we're just going to focus on marketing these and see how the sort of sales go. We know what people like, and it's the stuff that you wouldn't typically expect. Like jungle cats.
And signed photos thereof. Now, Richard, we're approaching the end of the episode. Is there anything, it's been a good 2 years of this podcast. We've done a lot of product development theory discussions. We've done a lot of that sort of stuff. Is there anything that lessons learned for you? Like, do you wish that the potassium umbrellas or potassium umbrellas that we developed in season 2, which of course were an umbrella that injected you with 5 milligrams of potassium. Do you wish that we perhaps launched those in a different way?
Yeah, I wish we'd made them bigger. So what I sort of mean by that is that when you pop open the umbrella, the span of the wings of the umbrella is about 10 meters each side.
That's a very interesting point. There's small umbrellas and there's normal sized umbrellas, but for some reason people haven't made an extra large umbrella.
Look, I don't understand it. I was walking the other day in the rain with my umbrella up, and the top half's dry, but the bottom half is getting soaked by rain coming in from the sides. So if we maybe actually create an umbrella that goes all the way down to the ground, so you're walking around in some sort of tiny capsule and keep your legs dry, could be the way to go.
So join us at some point in the future. We are going to expand on this idea of Potassium Umbrella 2.0, and it's going to be a good lesson for folks out there who have perhaps got a podcast, have tried to make some money, and the first version of their product didn't sell as well as you'd like. And so, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you'll be sure to find some more fantastic tips about making that moolah off podcasting. All right, Richard, I think that's it from us today. Do you have some sort of final words of wisdom for our listeners before they hop onto a train and head into work?
Just remember what's important in life. Coffee, hot sauce, and Premier Quest. And if you're feeling down into the dumps and have a problem, send it along to us and we can give you some thorough advice to help improve your situation, or at least point you towards giving us your money in exchange for products.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's it from us today, folks. It's been bloody blast. Of course, I mentioned it earlier, but please do it. Please subscribe to us on YouTube and or your podcasting app, and it will really help us sell the Puma.